Hello, this is Reginald, brother teacher. I just wanted to ask a question to the police officers that don't seem to be having any type of restraint about killing black folks that are unarmed. Would you just stop? This is getting ridiculous and definitely out of hand. Trayvon Martin, even though that was not necessarily a police situation, that was a citizen on patrol, so to speak, it's still basically the same. Eric Garner, choked, jumped upon by several police officers, not even resisting arrest in New York. Asphyxiation or suffocation, all the same. The man's no longer here. Took him away from his family. Michael Brown, hands up in the air, you shoot him to death. And the one black man not too long ago in South Carolina, when a police officer said that he tried to struggle his taser away from him, and then if that were true, the man was found with barbs from the taser in his back, and he was running away from the police officer. And he's approximately 30 feet from him, and the police officer basically gunned him down like he was an animal. And thank God for the man, the bystander that was videotaping it. It appeared as though the cop was trying to plant some evidence there to substantiate or corroborate his story. But he's locked up right now. But that's not always the case. 99.9% of the time when police officers have an encounter with a black person, a person of color, if you will, African American, if you will, a colored person, if you will, whichever term makes you feel good, it always ends up that the African American is shot and killed. Unwarranted. No weapon. No threat to the officer. But there's always an investigation, an ongoing investigation, internal affairs, or what have you. Even when it's obvious when it's obviously been recorded on video and the whole world can see it, that it was the police officer's irresponsibility. For real, it's crazy. It's really crazy. Now, all life is precious. Makes no difference if you're male, female, children, or what vocation or job description you may have. All life is precious. The Creator God gave us all that right to live and to aspire and to desire and to be happy on this planet. How in the world can another individual take it upon themselves inadvertently or even intentionally or premeditated, who's supposed to be a person that we're supposed to be looking up to protect us, just gun us down like we're an animal in the woods? How can that happen? And it's not like this is a remote situation, some isolated incident. This is happening all over the United States. And I'm just speaking the United States right now. All over the United States. That is crazy. Crazy like a fox. And basically the police officers get a slap on the wrist, and then after the so-called investigation, because who's investigating them but them? And they're going to protect their brothers in blue, if you will. But if you're investigating your own, then aren't you going to come out with a decision to support your own? We all know how that goes. Don't tell on your brothers, right? Unless it's just so much overwhelming evidence that has been, how should I say, just put out there in the public domain and people see for themselves and the world sees. So you have no other choice but to convict that police officer. But that's not the norm. The norm is that they kill our black youth from early teenage, 14 years up to 20 something years old, all of the time, as if it were sport. And 99.9% of the time, it's a white cop killing a black guy. Why is that? Have we not figured that out already? What the problem is? This video is just basically something for you to think about. Now, I encourage you that are in position, that are the police chiefs of all of these so-called municipalities, to think about your own families. If there is any inkling of spirituality in your bones, think about your own family and stop just supporting the dumb stuff. I understand your cop friends or your associates and your companions or your extended family, but we're all human beings and all of our lives do matter. Stop killing black folks for no reason, no good reason at all. Now, you always hear the people say at the end of a tragedy like this, oh, you know, we're going to go and invest in some accelerated training. Well, hold on. Didn't you have that training in the first place? Why in the world are you even in a job that does not teach your officers self-constraint or restraint? Why is it that they pull their service weapon 99.9% of the time when mace would have been warranted, or a taser would have been warranted, or calling for backup would have been warranted? Why is it that they have to all of a sudden in their mind become a superhero defending nothing but nonsense? And then after they realize that they've done something wrong or they've gone overboard, they try to cover it up. It's crazy. It's just downright ludicrous. I just lost a friend, an associate that's a police officer here in the city of Cincinnati a few days back, a martial artist, a fellow martial artist, and so did his family and many other people who loved him dearly. Officer Kim, he died at the hand of a black man. But something was wrong with that individual, if the story is correct. They said that allegedly he wanted to be killed by a police officer, so he set the situation up or the scenario so that he could be killed by a police officer for whatever the reason was. But that's not the norm either. When you compare the amount of police officers that die annually with the amount of black people, black men, young black men and middle-aged black men at the hand of a police officer, white police officer, for the most part, there's a big gulf in between. It's disproportionate. For example, if 10 cops die in the line of duty from an assailant shooting them, you've got 150 black men that have died that were unarmed, killed by a white cop. You do the math. Does that make sense to you? We're living in a very hard time in America, on the planet, as it were. We have enough problems and enough issues as people, citizens, so to speak, worrying about our children out in the streets, and careless police officers, renegade police officers. That's not to say that there aren't good and decent police officers, because they are. But I'd venture to say that they are the minority, not the majority. So I think you need to re-establish some policy and be more firm on your police officers when they're out in the field when it comes to using deadly force. You need to teach them, some of them, how not to be afraid. And you need to teach them how to be ethical in handling the public. Because we pay taxes, we help build this country, and you shoot us down like dogs. This madness has got to stop. And I'm appealing to those who are in power to take the lead. When are you going to do something about it? before the people start doing something about it. And you won't like that result. It's crazy. You have children. I have children. The next person has children. We're all valuable to God. So what makes black men any less important than your children? Nothing. We're all the same. So why is it that you just shoot us down like sports? Makes you wonder. I tell people all of the time, no matter what the vocation is or whatever the job description is, wherever you find yourself, you're going to find human beings. And you're going to find two kinds of human beings for the most part. You're going to find people who will follow the rules and do the right thing. And you're going to find people who don't follow the rules and do the wrong thing. In every aspect of life, to include government, to include the judicial system, to include the churches, to include the police department. You find crooked people in every aspect of life. So don't try to paint that rosy colored picture to us as if there's no bad cops, because there are. There's too much case evidence that proves that there are bad cops. And there are cops that's been locked up, but not all of the ones that need to be locked up. Why do we have to wait and lock them up? Why don't we just stop killing them? Stop killing the people. That would be the best thing. Stop killing the people. Again, it's crazy. I know it's redundant, but it's crazy. You're shooting all of these people. You're taking life. And you know what? You're going to have to pay for it. God has your number. And your day is going to come when you have to face God, the Creator. And that is one judge you don't want to stand before. That's basically all I had to say today. But all of those that agree with what I'm saying, you can subscribe to my channel. It doesn't matter if you do, I appreciate it. You can like this video. If you do, I appreciate it. But it's not about that. It is about us saving our children. White children are just as important as blacks. Blacks are just as important as Oriental children. Oriental children are just as important as Latino children. We are all important in God's eyes. But don't target the blacks. Civil rights should have told us something a long time ago. We think that we're free, but apparently we're not. We're free to be shot down in the street. This is Reginald Strauss, Sr., also called Brother Teacher. I hope this was thought-provoking. So long.